So yeah, I'm Dan Cichanu. I'm in our technology product marketing group. And I want to talk about data intelligence today. And I want to talk about what some of the key requirements are, the challenges, and how we approach that at SAS. So let's start by talking about the problem that I think most people are aware of but doesn't get enough press in the world today, which is that regardless of what your AI initiative is, the biggest problem with operationalizing your AI and analytics and anything data related is still the underlying data. So we sponsored a report with a survey with IDC. It's available on our website. And Jen Chase has a great blog about it from December that talks about the results. But one of the key takeaways from the report is that 49% of organizations that are not getting the ROI that they want out of their initiatives report that the biggest challenge is data and everything about data that's underlying that. So let's delve a little bit deeper into that. So what do you need to do to be able to get the results out of your AI initiatives, whether they're agentic based or whether they're anything else or analytics? And we feel like there's three things. The first thing is obviously you have to have access to the data, and it's got to be ready for enterprise level scale. Another key requirement is being able to use that data in a way that is not only efficient, but leads to better performance at the operational level. And all of that leads into needing to have one platform to be able to do this. So one thing that I'm very proud of our data intelligence capabilities on SAS Viya. All of these capabilities have been designed and developed in-house. We have one or two add-on solutions that we acquired, which is very rare for us, but everything else has been built and incorporated into the solutions for Viya. So that means that you have full access to those capabilities. So before I jump into what our approach is to data intelligence, let's talk about the challenges for a minute. So there are three major areas of challenge. The first one would seem obvious, fragmented data. However, in the last few years, the fragmentation of data has actually accelerated. I think all of you who are data practitioners in the room know that it's actually, instead of the situation getting better, it's actually getting worse. That leads to less confidence in the data and ultimately the decisions and the deployment of the data, which affects the end result and line of business. And at the end of the day, the suboptimal performance can take a variety of different forms. It can be in speed, it can be in lack of accuracy, it can be in not achieving a particular objective of that initiative. So how do we tackle that? So we have an approach. So when we talk about data intelligence, what do we mean by data intelligence? We have a three-pronged approach to tackling this. What does it mean to add intelligence to the data? So anybody who's a data practitioner knows about the basics of getting access to data, conforming it, rationalizing it, putting it into some sort of object storage. But beyond that, what does it mean to add intelligence? We feel that there's three major areas of activity that are required to be able to add that intelligence layer to the data. The first one is modernizing the data for AI. We'll go into a little bit of detail about what that means. The second one is being able to, once you have that trusted data, being able to operationalize it at scale, which is, at scale is the operative phrase there. And all of that leads towards accelerating the data ecosystem by bringing analytics and AI to the data as opposed to constantly shuttling data around the organization. So let's dive into each one of these in a little bit more detail. So let's start with modernizing data for AI. Bringing data into a particular repository, let's say you're taking a variety of sources of data and you're dumping it into an S3 bucket. That's something that you do day to day. But there are a couple of key things that have to happen in addition to that, and this is where adding an intelligence layer comes in. Once you have that data and once you start understanding the integration and access patterns to that data, one of the key things is adding context to it. So data does not have context by itself. We, as humans in the loop, create that context for the data. Why is that important? It's important because context is what drives the operational use of that data. So if you have a numerical code, you need to understand, is that a product code? Is that a code for something else? What is the nature of it? What is the data? What is it describing? Is there metadata involved? Do I have access to all the metadata? That all informs adding context to the data so that you can use it for what it's need to use it for. The second pillar of this, to be able to operationalize, is it's not enough to create agents and to automate those agents. You need to be able to monitor the data in real time. And actually, you need to monitor it in a continuous loop so that you can see how data changes and how does that affect different initiatives that you have in, whether it's agentic AI or anything else. Our customers that do this really well have figured out that a key part of this is to turn those data pipelines into products, right? And in order to do that, you have to add the governance layer to it. And what do we mean specifically by governance? We mean being able to do both the internal governance and external governance. So external as in compliance with regulatory things, but internally adherence to your internal policies. And then being able to add things like lineage so that you know not only where did the data come from, but you know what the relationships of different data is to each other, and being able to have that easily accessible so you can map out how are these different pieces of data related. And then ultimately having auditability so that you actually, when you see a data problem, you can identify what the problem is, and then you have the tools to actually improve that data. And you have to do this all as part of the process, not after the fact. I think any of us who have tried to do this, I've been a data practitioner for a long time, sitting in your shoes, doing it after the fact is a non-starter. And then lastly, as far as accelerating the data ecosystem, this is something that we're really excited about, which is we've developed some new capabilities of bringing the analytics to the data wherever the data resides. And the reason we're excited about it is in old days, I'll date myself here, the way this was done in the past was with data connectors. So you had a discrete connector for every different type of data source, and you just created those connectors. Anybody who's using Fivetran right now understands that paradigm real well. What we've done for data acceleration is we've created a new architecture that is the same architecture that you can point at any data store and be able to bring the analytics and push down transformations and all of that to the data where it sits. Our initial deployment of that is in a product called Speedy Store, which there are a few sessions this week, and if you didn't get to catch them, I hope you can watch them on demand. Post and Bring is using Speedy Store, and we have other success cases with Speedy Store. What Speedy Store is this technology, but also includes a license of Single Store. So why did we pick Single Store for this? Because we believe very, very strongly that Single Store is the optimal vector database for analytics and AI. And there's a lot of reasons. We've got white papers about it. I'd love to talk more about it. But we're using this architecture for data acceleration to be able to do that regardless of where the data sits, whether it's Databricks, Snowflake, you name it, we've got this capability. So we're very excited about that. And what are our solutions that map to these particular challenges and these pillars? So we've got 4 major areas here. Now, some of you that are old SAS users might not recognize the names, but SAS Data Hub is basically where we do access and exploration, and you can actually understand the data, interrogate it, understand metadata, things of that nature. SAS Data and AI Studio has gone by different names in the past. SAS Studio, if you're a SAS 9 user, it was called a variety of things, SAS Data Integration. That's the main platform or capability that you use inside SAS to manage the data in a variety of different ways. And then SAS Data Governance. So this is SAS Data Governance. You might be familiar with Information Catalog from the past. SAS data governance gives you the ability to not only understand the context, but apply some of the governance capabilities to the data. And then finally, a data accelerator that I was just describing, to be able to bring all that analytical compute power into the data source, which reduces costs, which increases performance, and actually enables you to get to market much, much more quickly than you would otherwise. Two other capabilities that I want to highlight for you. We talked about Speedy Store, which is our solution where you actually, within Speedy Store, it's an integration between SAS and Single Store, and you actually get a license of Single Store, a full enterprise license of Single Store in the product. And then one that came out a few months ago last year called SAS Data Maker, that's a synthetic data generator. And why is that important? Well, if you're trying to do modeling and you're trying to do things, especially for risk purposes or for anything where PII, personally identifiable information, is prevalent, synthetic data capability is absolutely huge in terms of being able to create those models, run them, and not run afoul of any privacy concerns or regulatory concerns. So Data Maker is a great add-on to that as well. So in conclusion, as much as it's not the sexiest topic for the conference, the data foundation and being able to add that data intelligence layer to the data is absolutely critical to getting success out of your data and AI initiatives. So thank you so much for your time today, and if we have time for questions, I'm happy to take some questions.